Hello, and we're back for another podcast.
Rattles.
This time we're retro gaming it up. I was going to say roguing it up. I've got rogue on the brain, but that's for good reason, because we are today talking about Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2. I managed to get it out there.
Well done.
Yes. On the
Bravo.
GameCube. Joining me tonight is, from the dark side, Simon Pryor. Yes. And my young apprentice.
Yeah.
Yes. Should we do that
Yeah,
again? You talked right over me, which is very, very mean.
Yes, my bad.
I'm rude.
Yes.
Go again.
My young apprentice, Anthony.
Yeah.
He's the special one.
Anthony.
He's the chosen one of the.
He'll bring balance to the force.
Yes.
He will kill them. Or lift them.
Including the women and children. But anyway, yes, as I say, we are
Just
talking.
Don't lose the will to live.
No, not like the audience. But that's for another day.
Yes, we're not talking about the films. We're talking about the game.
Yes.
Well, this one in particular.
That was based around the original and best trilogy.
Yes.
Released originally in 2001, I believe, as a launch game for the console.
Stands a good chance.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure I saw it in an established game shop in our local vicinity,
Yeah.
and was able to have a quick hands-on play of it, and quite enjoyed it. We are, of course, talking about Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2.
You already said it once.
I know I have, but I like to repeat myself.
I've got to say it quicker
I've got
next
to
time.
say, well, you know.
It features the voice of Dennis Lawson.
The original Wedge Antilles. Does it say the original Wedge Antilles?
Yeah. It's a picture of him from the 70s.
Let's have a look. I
In
could
his
probably
full,
tell you. That is a picture of Wedge in Empire Strikes Back. When he's
1980
in-
then.
Yeah, when he's in the a snow. Well, 79 technically when it was
Yeah.
filmed.
Well,
somewhere.
yeah, released in 80. But
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's
Get
my
bogged down on the
it's
details.
my geek knowledge coming out.
Yeah.
So yeah, the story of the game really isn't that important.
It's the films, isn't it?
Yeah, as good as or
Dipping in and out.
4, 5, and 6. You've got the main battles. So you've got your Death Star
Hoth.
1, Hoth, and the Battle of Endor. There are some random other missions chucked in, but to be perfectly honest, they're a bit shite.
You're not
blow
here for them.
blow
yeah.
up a Star Destroyer, salvage the Star Destroyer.
Play as Darth.
You can play as Darth Vader in bonus missions.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes, we've
Is
segued
that
it.
part of-
We've
is that
segued
part of the-
into the gameplay area.
Is that part
of
of
it.
Plus in the 11 Plus?
I think it very well might be. Yes, we'll talk about the gameplay with our nice seguing into it.
Yes,
You can play the game either from a third person or third perspective, behind the ship or inside the ship and get a nice cockpit view.
That didn't work out for you, did
No,
it?
he crashed.
Switch to first person. Oh, look,
Oh,
there's
I've
a
put
wall.
my targeting computer on, which you can do on the Death Star trench, which, if anyone is a geek like me, did have a very tiny nerdgasm when they first played it. Oh,
And then it's moving swiftly on.
yes. And then, and when if you're like me, haven't played it for about 7 years and came back to it, and then put the targeting computer on in the Death Star trench run, and crashed into into a bridge, which of course was there in the film. I remember that bit
Yeah.
quite clearly.
It wasn't just one big uninterrupted trench at all.
No, there was gun turrets. Well, there were gun turrets in there. I'll give them that.
But they weren't actually in the trench.
They were.
Were they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Because when Gold Leader's going down, or one of the Gold in the Y-wings, and he goes, the guns, they've stopped. Because the first...
Darth.
Yes, Darth Vader is on his way to molest your rear wing.
Yeah.
Or molest the back of your ship with his lasers.
His Imperial TIE fighter.
Yes. So yeah, there's various levels. They all involve blowing stuff up, essentially.
The nice use of clips from the movies as well.
Yeah,
That's
the
something
bit
to
obvious. They're a little bit obvious.
Yeah.
A little bit obvious these days, but back then when
And a little bit obvious when they're actually stealing a clip from the film.
yes,
Yeah.
but that's quite it's a nice touch. But
It's charming.
it is. It adds a certain je ne sais quoi
Yes.
to
Very
the
nice
proceedings. Control scheme wise, there's not a huge amount that's different about the ships. One
It's
button
just
makes
very
you
hard to shoot.
Yeah. One button makes you go faster, the other one slows you down. You've got a shoot button and a change weapon button and a change camera option. That's about it.
Oh, you can command your squad as well.
You can. That's something that you've well remembered and I haven't. You can tell them to attack certain things, form up, or flee. Which I think is probably a mid-mission cancel and start again. It does give
the option to, are you sure?
Yes, if you've accidentally pressed it in error.
Yeah.
But
run away.
Yeah. One thing I will slightly criticise the game on is the fact that it is difficult, as Si mentioned, to actually down an enemy fighter. It's also quite difficult to escape when you're flying and you've been hounded. As you may see in the review, I was in Slave 1 and I was being molested
from the rear end by many different TIE fighters.
And I don't like being molested, it hurts.
You'd know.
I would know. And then also just generally flying around in circles, chasing an enemy. That's a little bit silly.
Yeah. Bad game design, that.
Well, to a degree. But what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
It still holds up, I think, pretty well.
Graphically wise, it's rather impressive.
Yeah.
It's an 8-year-old game. It's from like the previous gen of consoles, and even now it still looks rather nice.
That's what 60 Hz mode will do for you.
Yeah. 60.
So
I can never play that initially on my old telly.
No.
Always had to play it in 50.
Flipping PAL tellies.
Yeah. HD TV for the win.
Indeed. Or if you're even more ultra modern, 3D TVs for the win.
Yeah.
Or not. 3D gaming for the win.
No. Avatar did really well in the game.
Maybe not at all.
No, not at all.
Modes of play, there's really only one. Blow stuff up.
It even says on the box, 1 player.
So yeah, there isn't even an option for 2 player. If you are French.
Uses 3 blocks and a memory card. Nécessité 3 blocs.
It's like watching Eurovision.
Yes.
Nul point. The rare uni.
Yes. Every mission, though, you are graded on criteria to achieve. The better your accuracy, for example.
Completion time.
And completion time. How many lives that you've used. Accuracy. Targeting computer accuracy. It's all graded, and at the end of the mission, you may be awarded a medal if you're
shiny medal.
If you're good enough, which I certainly was, because I spotted a couple of silver medals in some of my missions, so I was quite happy with that. But it is quite difficult to get even a bronze medal if you're.
As you found out.
As I found out.
If you haven't played it for 8 years.
Well, yeah, it is tough. And that's one thing I will also mention is how hard the game actually is. Yeah. Especially on the later levels.
When you die, it flies in the face of established canon.
Yes, you can kill Darth Vader, or you can kill the Millennium Falcon.
You just have it blow up.
Yeah.
Mission failed. Oh. That would have been a swift end to the movies.
Yes, the Death Star would have just wreaked havoc upon the galaxy.
With the Palpatine laughing.
Yes, from his tower up on high. But yeah, that's like you get these medals, and you can use these medals, which give you points to unlock bonus missions, which is where the Millennium Falcon Death Star escape scene comes from, and also the part where I was flying as Darth Vader over Yavin 4 after the Rebels had so utterly crushed the Death Star by using their design flaw. You can play as Darth Vader leading an attack on Yavin 4 to crush the Rebels and stop them escaping, which flies also, as I said, in the face of Star Wars canon, because
they do that in every Star Wars game. Though, to be fair, I don't know. They did it with one of the 2 endings of Force Unleashed.
Yes, so. This is true. So yeah, lots of variety on the table, sort of. If you know.
And it's released back in the day as well, before multiplayer became such a key component, which is strange as well, because the GameCube had the 4 ports on the front, so you think they do some sort of split screen.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking the very fact that it's called Rogue Leader, I don't think it lends itself really to.
Well, if it was released today and you did exactly the same concept, you'd have one person being the leader and the two as the wingman.
That could cause friction.
Yeah.
Ah.
Are you going to lead us properly?
Let's take turns.
Could.
Mm.
Yes. So no multiplayer here. It's very much a hand style game.
Oh God.
Star Wars gag. So
Yeah.
Solo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Bloody hell.
Rah. Console exclusivity. It was only a GameCube game, as were the subsequent sequels. Well, the Rogue Leader games anyway. They did do Rebel Assault and all that sort of jazz, but that's a entirely different. What's the word? Franchise in itself.
Just of note, you said that the guy playing Lando Calrissian sounded just like Billy D. Williams. Sarcasm mode off. His name is Oba Babatunde.
Awesome. Oba Babatunde. You sound nothing like Billy D.
Although your name fits the Star Wars franchise quite nicely.
I found, he kind of reminds me of the guy who did Nien Nub, the voice of the little puppet guy in Episode 6, who sat next to Lando in the Millennium Falcon. I think he was a Sullustan.
He looked like a fish. No, he didn't.
No, that was Akbar.
He looked like a little
It's a
green,
trap.
he looked like a little goblin thing with a French moustache.
Yeah, they live underground and do mining.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
That says why he looks like a bit of a...
And he's also a very good friend of Lando,
Oh,
which is probably why he was in the ship
yes.
when Lando was flying it in Episode 6.
It would make a lot of sense.
But that's never established because that's all in the expanded universe.
Yeah. Highly recommended.
Yes.
And
I-
it's
I
quite
br-
vast.
I'd recommend starting maybe with Shadows of the Empire, which is also a game
Yes.
they made of it. And then moving on to probably something to do with courting of Princess, or courtship of Princess Leia. No, that was after Truce at Bakura. So Truce at Bakura.
Why don't they just wiki it and
Yeah, look up novels on Wikipedia because
Yeah.
it exists. So yeah, go there. We ought to tell you about this game as well, so you probably garner a bit more information than what we're spouting.
Yes. Not difficult, really.
No, user friendly to a degree.
If you're a Star Wars fan, it's sort of...
Well, it is. It does.
It gives you your Star Wars fix.
It does, but at the same time, it's also rock solid.
Yeah. There isn't any sort of difficulty level.
No, there's no difficult. I assume it's sort of it builds
One
up.
size fits all.
Yeah, well, no, not that, but it doesn't have a difficulty level per se. But the further you progress into the game, the harder it gets. Especially when you get to the Battle of Endor.
It's vaguely difficult to start with, and then gets progressively harder.
Yeah. So yeah, you get to the Battle of Endor, and you've probably got as much
Die.
chance of surviving it as they did.
Yeah.
It's
Whip,
their
whip.
D-Day to
Yes.
yeah, I know what I'm saying. So yeah, on the whole, I'd still really enjoy it. It's a game that is slightly still timeless. A few niggles here and there, but on the whole, certainly very worthy of your time.
Looks
And
very
worth,
nice.
yeah, it does, and worth digging it out for a couple of
Yeah.
pound on eBay.
That's why I kept it. I sold a lot of my rubbish GameCube games, so I think I've only got about 15 left that are actually worth keeping. So it's one of the ones I kept hold of, and I think I picked it up for about £6.
Yeah,
Brand new, pretty much as well. So it was like,
Yeah.
that'll do nicely.
indeed. The sequels we'll probably go into a bit later on because they tend to nosedive in quality.
Yeah, I haven't got any of the sequels.
I think
but,
I've got Rogue Squadron 3, which is
that
Very
also
good.
starts with the Battle of Hoth,
yes.
and that is my one problem with the games. Is that they keep doing the same things.
The same. Oh look, it's Hoth.
Oh look, it's the
How about the obligatory asteroid field level?
oh look, it's the Death Star assault again.
Yes. But anyway, on the whole, dig it out, find it on eBay, buy it, play it, relish it, cherish it, love it.
Ducka, 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 ducka.
Yes. All of the sorts of its on it.
Yeah, lots of evil it's.
Yes. And yeah, worthy of your time indeed. If you want to query us on anything at all,
Which
Wow.
is likely.
It is likely, especially after my outlandish comments on previous podcasts. You can do so. info@randomstote.com is the email address to send your abusive and non-abusive emails to. I think we'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in another dimension.